I'm here to speak today about the tokenization of mental health and autism advocacy. First of all, I'd like to go into my background. I started, first of all, I grew up with autism, mental health disorders, and people told me my whole life I'd never be able to be anything. My best hope would be working in a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter. And I sure enough graduated high school, went to college, graduated, became a famous sports marketing agent that was up and coming for many years, representing numerous athletes in various different sports, such as Tim Hardaway of the Miami Heat, transforming his post-career in 2008 after his unflattering comments on the Dan Le Batard show on ESPN. I then went on to represent Kurt Schilling of the Boston Red Sox, formerly Simon Pagenaud, IndyCar champion. There are so many athletes to name: Conchito Martinez, Pat Cash, Rosie Casals, many icons in different sports. Stephen Goldstein, GT Sprint champion in Europe for Ferrari and Lamborghini. There are just so many names, and everybody told me that I would never amount to anything, and so here I am. So let me go into my presentation. Darryl Mezey with Big B TV on a Roku channel, interviewing Peter from Stash Funding.
Right.
How are you doing today, Peter?
Very good. Thanks for interviewing me, Barry.
Welcome. So welcome to the first ever Bitcoin Energy Summit in Miami, Florida. So you're from Atlanta. You told me. You want to go ahead and tell me a little bit about what you're doing in your company and
Sure.
And where you see your future going with your company.
Perfect. Well, first and foremost, I love this conference. I was invited here by Corey. We met at the WebX conference over in Vegas where I was a speaker, and he said, you have to come to this. You're into Bitcoin mining, you're into staking, you're into Web3. And so that's what we're all about. So Stas Fund is a Web3 investment fund, and we focus on Bitcoin mining platforms as well as staking, DeFi, or anything that has a continuous yield. So anything like yield farming and these types of things. So we invest in early stage operators, early stage startups, as well as big mining facilities.
Okay. And where do you see your future of your company, and where are you at in the phase right now, in the phase of your company, and where do you see yourselves 3, 5, and 10 years from now?
Perfect. Well, we are the first Web3 venture fund in Atlanta. So kind of officially, we came out and we said, there's a lot of Web2 companies, Web2 venture funds out there, traditional venture funds. And so for us, we believe that Bitcoin started the Web3 revolution with Satoshi Nakamoto, with the whole idea around Bitcoin and sovereignty and ownership over your own data. And so for us, we believe that Web3 is going to not only be the next 3, 5, 10 years of our life, but we want to be the investment fund that is supporting operators, early stage entrepreneurs, as well as other venture funds that want to grow Web3, grow tooling, Bitcoin mining, as well as amazing financial tools. So what we're really excited about in Web3 is the new financial tools that are coming out, new technology that's coming out, as well as the ability for everyone out there to be able to own your own data, have sovereignty over your own value, and be able to have, maybe for the first time with Bitcoin, some semblance of privacy. So these are the things that we care about a lot as a venture fund.
That's cool. So, are you going to be doing anything with any charitable initiatives down the road, or anything like that? Do you have any charities in mind that you're willing to help, like in any sort of sector?
Currently, we don't have any charities that are on our docket that have reached out to us. Maybe you might have some charities that we should check out, certainly in the Web3 world. So our thesis is continuous yield. And so that thesis is bifurcated into 2 really simple segments. Bitcoin mining platforms that have good unit economics, they're economically efficient, we're making money, and then obviously staking platforms and early stage investors. So if there's a great fund or there's a great initiative or project or nonprofit that's in Web3 and doing one of these things, I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, I got one just for you.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it's actually ran by me.
Oh, I see you.
And it's for autism and mental health advocacy and programs.
No way.
Yeah.
So I'm on the spectrum.
So am I.
I'm on the spectrum, and
50% of people are in crypto and Bitcoin
Yeah, so for
three.
for me, for me, where I'm on the spectrum, my biggest, let's just say, challenge is generally I say the silent part out loud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So generally, I've been able to. So here's proof positive that you can have a child that's on the spectrum and actually have them be financially stable. They can actually have a good job. They can actually survive, and they can actually build business. So I like to tell people that if your child's on the spectrum, look at me. I'm a little rough around the edges somewhere in some places, but you know what? They can have a great life. They can be a great part of society. So that's really encouraging that you're.
I encourage you to see my meeting interview on Block Bits. I'll give you my card after this, and you're going to see we have a lot in common now.
Oh, I love it. We're coming to sit with a piece of clock.
Yeah. So, you mind if I get a little bit personal with you on autism, and like since we're both on the spectrum, tell me about your strengths and your weaknesses when it comes to your autism.
So for me, with the way that my mind works is my mind is constantly creating patterns and constantly recording behaviors. And so as a younger man, and certainly as a younger student, this was very problematic because it was hard for me to concentrate in class, where everything's static, where I'm looking for patterns, where I'm looking for routines. I'm looking, why is that person always walk that way down the hallway type of deal. And one of the things that I struggle with the most is keeping the internal dialogue in my brain. So as a middle schooler and high schooler, like I said, I generally said the silent part out loud, so that got me in a lot of trouble. And so what's great is moving into the cryptocurrency world, and decades later, is that in this world of Web3 and this decentralization, this community around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and digital currencies, it's okay to say the silent part out loud.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
I think Bitcoiners and cryptocurrency enthusiasts are the ones that should be saying the silent part out loud. They should be saying what's in the brain.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is the stuff that is the fringe. Those are the bleeding edge ideas of technologies. And the bleeding edge. It's the fringe, right?
Right.
It's the fringe that ends up becoming the mainstream, right? Bitcoin was a bunch of cipher hackers, right? They were the fringe. They were the refuse of society. But eventually it became mainstream, and look at us now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? What really was surprising and exciting to hear is that you're on the spectrum.
Yes.
So I'm on the spectrum as well.
Yes.
And I always like to say that I can be a good example, especially for parents who have children that are on the spectrum, as the example of someone who can be a productive member of society, who can be effective, who can actually create business, and who can actually help other people out there. Right? And so this is one of the things that I really appreciate about the Bitcoin community and the digital currency community, is because in a lot of ways, this might be a meme or it might be, but a lot of the Bitcoiners are kind of degen autists.
Yeah,
Put it that way, right?
I know, totally. And that's one thing I love about the community too.
Yeah, we really fit into this community because it's a fringe community, and it's digitally native. Where a lot of us autists are is on the digital communities. We're digitally native. That's where we feel comfortable. It's harder for us sometimes to connect with people in person. So for us, we're on the internet. We're trolling. We're on Reddit. And so having Bitcoin be created by cypherpunks and the fringe of the nerdiest of the nerds, many of them probably were autists, right? I think that creates a very special place in my heart for someone like me, and being part of the Bitcoin community, because it's almost like these are my people. They understand.
Right. Well, I should say people like us.
People like us, that's right.
Yeah.
People like us, absolutely.
Yeah, so
one of the things that we're really excited about is as a venture fund. So as a venture fund, we invest in Web3 companies. So we have a very simple thesis, which is continuous yield. That continuous yield thesis is bifurcated into two very distinct strategies. Number one, Bitcoin mining, which is why we're here. So we invest in Bitcoin mining facilities and Bitcoin mining platforms. And number two, early stage investments in yield farming, DeFi, or staking. So regardless of whether it's staking or Bitcoin mining, we're still creating continuous yield. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that most people don't realize about the digital currency world, is that you can be involved in assets and you can be involved in tokens that are constantly yielding value. Now, of course, the value is determined by the market dynamics and these types of things, and demand, supply, and demand. But
course.
But what's so powerful about this is you don't need a financial background, you don't need a financial certificate, you don't need accreditation, you don't need a university diploma, and you can invest in digital currencies with none of that. And I think that's so powerful that we now have vehicles, mechanisms, and ways for any average person to get into the world of investing and learn about digital currencies. You don't need any of those other requirements, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, that really is remarkable. And then the other aspect is the charity aspect of crypto. Something I want to go over later in private.
That's right.
But I don't get a chance to review the website I sent you or not.
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, so when you get a moment, review it. But I'm doing something totally unique regarding the autism spectrum. And I was actually offered my own basketball franchise here in Miami for the ABA, the New American Basketball Association.
Okay.
So I'm dealing with like the guy who's like the Adam Silver of the ABA. Shout out to you, Harold Whaley. So basically, I met one of his friends who goes by Dickie at the PulseCon conference in Las Vegas last fall. And he introduced me to Harold. Harold helped launch Beyonce's career, Beyonce Knowles. And he's like the Adam Silver of the ABA. So I wanted to call the franchise to Miami Misfits, He's like, I got it better. He's like Miami Spectrum.
That makes sense, bro. There you go.
And
Miami Spectrum.
Yeah.
That's dope.
That's dope.
That's
isn't
dope.
it?
That's dope.
So he's a really cool branding genius, just like me, but that's been doper than what I came up with.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's like so one of the things that we're doing is we're developing jobs in media, entertainment, and sports for those with autism and mental health issues. And so we're creating unique opportunities, and we're always looking to partner up with venture capitalists like yourself where you need tax write-offs. Because it's like everybody needs a tax break at the end of the day.
Yep.
And, so if there's anything that you can do to help us, we'd be very appreciative.
I'd love it. I'd love to have further the conversation and see where we can take it.
Yeah.
Tax bracket, about $35,000. That's one of the benefits by investing directly.
My dad used to do that in Ohio and Pennsylvania. He invested in my own. Yeah, but that was a long time ago. They dried up and we're down.
We're in the Appalachian Basin. We're in Tennessee. Those are a lot of our wells you see on the table, and some of the production that's coming out of those wells. One of the reasons we're here at the Energy Summit is we are looking at possibly capturing some of the gas that's coming out of the wells. There's no oil and gas, then we're looking at possibly mine. So one of the reasons we're here is to educate ourselves to find energy solutions. So what we've been doing here for 15 years, we want to continue to do what we've been doing. But also look for opportunity, like I said, if we can create energy solutions that helps everyone, we're open.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
But thank you for stopping by.
Thank you. Interviewing Art from Bitcoin Energy Summit 2023 and the 2023 Shitcoin Conference. Excuse my language, but it's a funny name and it's really cool. Art, you want to go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself and about your conferences and what you guys are putting together and doing?
I'm a local Miami crypto person, Bitcoin person. We started the Shitcoin conference in 2021 at the time that the Bitcoin conference came here. It started off as a joke, mostly as a joke, because the Bitcoin 2021 conference is known as a very hyper maximalist, very serious thing. They don't take any shit coins. Anything else is a shit coin. They're very serious, super strict, and that's just kind of hilarious to me.
Yeah.
I think it's, so I thought it'd be hilarious if someone did the opposite. shitcoin conference. Only shitcoins, no Bitcoin. And it was hilarious. And the joke kept getting funnier and funnier. And in like the span of like a half an hour, it got some funding from people. So like, and we had to do it. And the first conference, we had exactly 30 days from the inception of it, the time that it had to be happening. And in those 30 days, it just like turned from a joke into like an actual conference, like sponsors and like a venue and like speakers and like DJs. It was proper, everything great. Like 3,000 attendees showed up. It was amazing.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it was cool. A lot of the people who were speakers at the Bitcoin conference, they're like my friends. So like they also spoke at like Bitcoin conference. So we had like half of the same speakers as the shitcoins. And the cool thing is our thing is a lot smaller. I mean, it's still 3,000, but it isn't like 10,000, you know. So it's like more of a homey kind of like
Home environment.
Intimate kind of setting,
like
and there's
intimate home environment.
yeah, and there's no censorship, none at all.
That's awesome.
There's like security there to make sure nothing physical happens, obviously. But like in terms of like audience talking to the presenters, anything you feel like saying, if you're not happy about something the presenters saying, feel free to express your unhappiness however you feel like, you know, verbally. And people took advantage of that, and it was interesting. They were like shouting matches and a lot of like spirited exchanges of like ideas, and that was cool because like it's nice having that. Like the Bitcoin conference has like become more corporate and like sterile, I think.
Yeah.
Lately. And there's a lot of suits, and like I think the biggest thing that I saw in that year, I think their keynote speaker was the Twitter guy,
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey. He was the like head speaker, and then like some lady, she started like screaming at him, like he something about censorship or blah blah blah, and they took her away. Like it's a Bitcoin conference.
That's crazy.
It's a Bitcoin conference, and you're censoring people who were like, you know, sure she was kind of an asshole, but so what? Like, you know, they didn't have that. Like there were a lot of people who were freaking assholes who were speakers, and their speakers, they were super awesome. They handled it fantastically. Like they didn't have to be dragged out, you know. So that's a cool thing, and it's just like fun. It's more in the style of the older style. Just basic stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just more of like a side thing.
Okay.
For myself, I'm paying two things are the shitcoin and this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, this is kind of a special vehicle. It's kind of historic. This is the very first car that was purchased with Bitcoin.
Oh wow.
2013.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
so-
the very first car that's purchased with Bitcoin.
Yeah, ever.
That's awesome.
2013. So there's my friend is actually the person who purchased it. His name is Rasa. He's like a pretty famous Bitcoin dev. He like did like Mycelium wallet and like a bunch of stuff. He's an OG. And in 2013, he purchased this baby for guess how much?
How much?
Yes.
I don't know.
This would be 2013. He paid 1,000 BTC for it.
1,000 BTC.
1,000 BTC.
Oh my god. What year is it?
This is a 2010. He purchased it in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then he's had it this whole time
Okay.
until around 2020. He crashed it. He like totaled it. It was totaled, and he was going to have his insurance just take it and total it, and that's it. And I heard about that. I'm like, no, you can't do that. It's like a historic thing. It has to be preserved. So myself and a partner bought it off of him. We took it off his hands and had it fully restored. It's now fantastic, and planning on selling it in May during the Bitcoin 2023 conference.
Okay.
And I'm expecting it to go for a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
It's a collector's item.
It's a one-of-a-kind collector's item. There's nothing else at all similar like it. The only thing close to it is like the Bitcoin pizzas. You know, the famous person who paid $20,000 or 20,000 Bitcoin for like 2 pizzas. It's like the first purchase.
I'm not aware.
It's like the famous thing, but that's the pizzas. Like, you can't have those anymore.
Right.
This still exists.
Yeah.
You know, so in its total condition, we were having offers of like 6 figures, and we turned it down.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so now that it's like restored and it's like functional again, and it's like being marketed slightly, we're expecting like maybe 7 figures of.
Oh wow.
Yeah, hoping.
With Bitcoin, hopefully.
Yeah. It's to where it's selling it through Scarce City. They're a auction house that specializes in Bitcoin specific art and like historical items.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
My name's Erica Gemma, for those of you guys who don't know me. I used to have a Bitcoin center in downtown Miami, did a lot of teaching people. It was a co-working office and event space, and that was really fun while it lasted, but we did close because of coronavirus. How many people here traveled here? Okay, how many are locals, live here in Miami? Okay, and then how many of you guys, like, would you say moved here because of coronavirus? Yeah, so it's interesting. Miami has these interesting evolutions that happen. Just like when I closed my Bitcoin center because of Corona, now we have this great office space. So whose first time is it at Office Logic? Awesome. Love to see it. So I'm going to let Noel say a couple words, but really what we're seeing happen is Miami and tech are merging together. Miami has a really long history when it comes to Bitcoin. I mean, people are here because it's the 3rd year that Bitcoin Magazine is hosting a conference here, but the city itself has a really, really long history with Bitcoin. We actually have the longest running Bitcoin conference. It just happened down the street. It's about 10 years in the making, right? People don't know this, but Ethereum launched in Miami. People also don't know this, but the 3rd week in Miami is officially Miami Blockchain Week, and it's been that way for, I think, 5 years now. So now that this shift has happened because Corona, because people wanted to, it's interesting, because like, the history of Miami, Miami, just some fun facts, is one of the only cities that is founded by a woman, one of the major cities. So shout out to Julia Tuttle and to all the ladies in the room who are holding it down for us. Give it up for the ladies, guys. Austin Kim. Austin is the CEO of Choice.com. We had the US CEO just speaking here, and he's going to be talking about bull cycles. While he's on his way up here, just in the nature of knowing.
Okay, whilst that's being put up, let me just introduce myself. I'm not the CEO of Choice.com. I'm actually head of strategy, but I am one of the founders of Choice.com. What have I done before Choice.com? I'm probably the only person in the world that has set up a life insurance company in both Russia and Ukraine simultaneously. So I did that for 7 years. I left Russia in 2012 and Ukraine in 2012, and since then I've been in the blockchain space. So let me tell you a little bit, first of all, about our company. Sergey's already given you a quick overview, so I won't bore you with all the stats and figures, but we focus on three things. The first thing is, we did set up initially as a payments application, I would say, for cryptocurrency. Back in 2017, it was very difficult to spend crypto. You may own it, but you actually try and get into fiat currency, it was very, very difficult. So we focused on payments, and we were probably the first company in the world to ever launch a payment card that was backed by crypto. It was actually UnionPay. I don't know if anyone here has a UnionPay card. Not as widely accepted as Visa or MasterCard, but times were tough, so we ended up with UnionPay, and now, of course, it's relatively simple to get yourself a crypto-backed payment card. But since then, we've also expanded quite significantly. So we have an all-singing, all-dancing, I would say, crypto banking application where you can buy, sell, exchange, save, all the things you'd expect to see. But we also have two other very interesting business models. The first one is a B2B application. Everything that Choice.com does, you could do under your own brand. We do that, including MasterCards, bank accounts for all your users. Although the advice of the panel before, a lot of our customers think they need these things, but don't always need these things. So don't come running to me just because you've got 50 customers that you might like to give a MasterCard to, but it is a service that we offer. And then the third thing I would say, which is very important, particularly in a time of let's say a downturn, is how to make money out of crypto. So we provide a treasury service to our institutional clients and high net worth customers, and more on that in a minute. Still make the type of money out of owning Bitcoin that people have already made. I get asked the question a lot, am I too late? Have I missed the boat? There's a good reason for that. We went from $1 or even 1 cent to $69,000. These are statistics of the peak of the market. But I think you can understand the sentiment that maybe I've missed the boat here. And the question is, with this type of return, can we ever get it again? Sorry, is the sound okay? Yes. It just went a bit funny for me, okay. And I would say that the opportunity is just as good today as it was 5 years ago. And let me explain why. There are two very important concepts which we have looked at over time, over the last 10 years in fact, both connected to Bitcoin. And I would say they are facts. The first one is the market is correlated to Bitcoin. Have a look at the charts here. You can see Bitcoin's price, Bancor price, BNB price. But what is very interesting is that the correlation, which is pretty clear, also has higher peaks and troughs. So whilst Bitcoin, whilst Bitcoin might go up 20%, BNB might go up 40%. Whilst Bitcoin might go down 10%. So whilst BNB, as I say, is correlated to Bitcoin, you can see that the correlation has bigger peaks and troughs. So that means, whilst the market is going up, BNB is also going up. When the market is going down, BNB is also going down. That has been over 10 years. And there are probably about 500 coins that show that correlation and show that up and down reflection. So if you know that when Bitcoin moves, when the market is heading one direction, and Bitcoin is heading one direction, and you know that the rest of the coins are going to follow that, the next question is, well, what's going to happen to Bitcoin? So if we can predict with some form of reasonable expectation, and we know that that has happened for 10 years in a row, if we can know what Bitcoin is going to do, then we have an opportunity to make some serious money. And how to make a prediction on Bitcoin is actually not that difficult either. So this is the halving. Everybody here is aware of the halving? Yes? No? Does anybody need me to explain what the halving is? Okay, we all know about the halving. And you're probably all very familiar, therefore, with the numbers connected to the halving. So every 4 years, when the value of reward that is given to a Bitcoin miner is reduced by half, the market has reacted in the same way. And these are just some of the numbers on the screen. Now, I actually prefer the next slide. Who's seen this chart before? I'm sure some of you have seen this chart. It's actually produced by Pantera Capital. And I'll just explain it. So what this shows is the last 3 halving periods, and this is the projection of the next halving period. The next halving is likely to take place, not likely, will take place in April, May next year. At that point, we can start to make a prediction based upon the historical numbers.
Interviewing Austin at Choice.
Choice.com.
Choice.com. How are you, Austin? How are you doing
very good,
today?
thank you. Nice to meet you, Barry.
Nice to meet you. So you want to go ahead and tell me a little bit about your company and what you're doing in the crypto space?
Okay, so Choice.com, we originally were born 2017, so we've been around 5 years. It doesn't sound a long time, but in crypto, that's quite a long time. Under the name of Crypterium. And then when we first set up back in 2017, it was pretty much impossible to spend crypto. You know, people may have owned it, they may have heard of it, but they couldn't spend it. So we initially set out as a payments application. And we were probably the first company in the world to launch a crypto payments card, which is actually with Union Pay out of Hong Kong. Visa wasn't ready, MasterCard wasn't ready, but we launched with Union Pay out of Hong Kong. And then over the last 5 years, the ecosystem has really just grown and grown and grown. So right now we have, I would say, 3 core functions. The first one is an all singing, all dancing retail application where you buy it, sell it, exchange it, spend it, etc. The whole gambit, including IBAN banking accounts, etc. The second one, which is probably more important to us economically now, is we also offer a white label version of that. So everything that Choice.com can do, we can do it under Barry.com, for example. So you could have a Barry.com application with all the Choice.com features with a Barry.com MasterCard to spend crypto on. So that's a second feature. And we've been doing that now for about 3 years, and that's really been very, very successful. And then the third area is we have an institutional, what I would call treasury management service, where either companies or very high net worth individuals own a lot of crypto and want to make money out of it. So not a hedge fund, but more of an interest earning approach. So,
so like high-end staking.
Yeah, high-end staking, absolutely, yes. So from a range of products from almost zero risk connected, say, to T-bills up to what you would call a higher risk portfolio strategy that is linked to, say, market turmoil. So we offer a full range of solutions for our clients.
And you obviously trade the big tokens, the stable coins.
Yep.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, like all the big coins, but Tether, USDC.
Yep.
But do you trade any altcoins on the exchange currently?
So what we do,
or the platform currently?
actually, the interesting thing for altcoins is it's easy to put an altcoin onto your application, but unless they have a customer base, there's not much point. Nobody trades a coin unless. So our white label solution, I would say 4 out of 5 of our customers have their own token. So what often happens is, as I said, Barry has a business, he has a lot of customers, and he would say, wouldn't it be really nice if I could offer them crypto services and they could use a MasterCard to use that crypto? And I've launched my own token to these customers, so it might be a reward token, or it might have some function. And then the customer says, what can I do with this token? It's not on any exchanges, I can't do anything with it. And then the white label customer often says, well, what if you could spend it on a MasterCard? Would that be cool? Yes, that would be cool. So I would say 4 out of 5 of our customers have their own alt token that you've probably never heard of. But they're a small ecosystem of users that have their own, purpose. They're able to spend it and exchange it and provide liquidity, to convert it in and out of stablecoins, for example.